This is the City of Frankfort Board of Commissioners regular meeting. Today's June 26, 5 p.m. And we'll start with an invocation. We have Reverend Jack Brewer here from United Methodist, retired.
Let us pray. Almighty God, as we gather tonight, sometimes I forget what a joy, what a privilege it is to be here in our country, here in our Commonwealth, here in our city of Frankfort. And tonight I'm aware of that as we approach Independence Day, of how much it costs people for us to be here. And we thank you for them. We thank you for your guidance and your blessing on our lives. And I pray that you would bless our commissioners and our mayor and all our staff as they deliberate and keep that freedom before them and for us in our community. Thank you for them. May this evening be pleasing to them, to the city, and also in your kingdom. I pray in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Thompson.
Present.
Commissioner Unger.
Present.
Commissioner Waldridge.
Present.
Commissioner May.
Present.
Mayor Wilkerson.
Present. And first on the agenda, ceremonial and recognition. Does anybody have anything? Commissioner Waldridge.
I have one. I just want to say congratulations to Collier Higgs, who was the 2023 valedictorian for Kentucky State University, and he was also named the SIAC Man of the Year for their conference in baseball. So, congratulations.
Commissioner Unger.
I wanted to mention a couple things. I wanted to thank the police department for hosting the Flock Community Forums last Thursday. Thank you, Chief. I was able to attend the 6 o'clock forum. There was a really good discussion, questions, and you just did a great job representing our department. So I want to thank you for that. I'd also like to recognize Laura Haig, whose last day as city manager was Friday. I think she helped get us through a tough time in Frankfort and also a historic time. We have a lot of good projects that are on the move, and she helped get us started on a lot of those. So I'd like to send thanks to her.
Any other? And thank you. We'll move on. The first item is any citizens' comments tonight? Nope, seeing none. We'll move on to the consent calendar, and I'll turn it over with to recognize we now have our interim city manager, Penny Peebler, who will be taking over the consent calendar.
First on the consent calendar are the minutes from the May 8th, 2023 meeting, the special meeting May 15th, 2023, the regular meeting May 22nd, 2023, the special meeting May 26th, 2023, and the special meeting May 31st, 2023. The second item on the consent calendar is the Housing Authority of Frankfort 2022 pilot waiver request. This is a request for approval to waive the payment in lieu of taxes for the Housing Authority of Frankfort and authorize the mayor to sign any related documents. The Housing Authority is a governmental agency that was established in 1941. Furthermore, the Housing Authority's property is not listed as taxable property in the city's property tax database. The Housing Authority of Frankfort has requested annually by letter from the Executive Director of the Housing Authority a waiver for the payment in lieu of taxes. Based on the assessed property values in the PVA website, the Housing Authority real property tax due the city would be approximately $3,300 for 2022. The next item is 2 dump truck bodies with salt spreaders and snow plows, requested by the Streets and Public Works Department. The Street Department is seeking approval for the purchase and installation of 2 dump bodies with salt spreaders and snow plows for the recently purchased F550 cab and chassis trucks. In October of 2022, the Board of Commissioners approved the Street Department to purchase the 2 F550 cab and chassis trucks. The dump bodies, salt spreaders, and snow plows were not purchased with the truck, due to the unknown time frame for these trucks to be built and delivered. The trucks have now been built and are awaiting the installation of the needed equipment. J. Ettinger and Son Incorporated was chosen as the installer for the equipment due to the availability of the stainless steel dump bodies and needed equipment. No other companies returned any quotes that met the required specifications. Sole source justification form and memo will be used for the purpose. Staff recommends that the Board of Commissioners approve the purchase and installation of the 2 dump truck bodies with salt spreaders and snow plows for a total cost of $89,964. No budget impact will be made as these funds were approved in the 2022-23 municipal aid account. The next item is the agreement to purchase easements from HMN 127 LLC for 2 pump stations, Home Depot and Poplar Creek. The purpose of the memo is to recommend approval of an agreement for the purchase of easements from HMN 127 and for the mayor to sign all related documents. The Frankfort Sewer Department is consolidating 2 pump stations, the Home Depot and the Poplar Creek stations, into 1 pump station to serve the US 127 and proposed paddocks development in the existing service area. The increased flow capacity requires a different discharge location than the existing location. The Frankfort Sewer Department has completed their negotiations for an easement with HMN 127 LLC to construct a new force main across its properties for $50,000. The Frankfort Sewer Department has also agreed to reimburse HMN up to $6,500 for legal and engineering expenses during negotiations. The project is in the capital improvement plan and will be allocated in the FY 23-24 budget. Staff recommends that the mayor and Board of Commissioners approve the agreement with HMN 127. Once the agreement is approved and signed, the Sewer Department will issue a purchase requisition in the amount indicated to HMN. Next is the sewer extension contract with Moore Land Investments, LLC. The property is owned by Moore Land Investments, LLC, the developer, and they wish to construct a sewer extension for the development of their property. The developer proposes to install 921 feet of 8-inch PVC STR 35 mainline pipe and 5 new manholes. The owner has met all of the requirements of the sewer department for this sanitary sewer extension. Staff recommends the Board of Commissioners approve the sewer extension contract with Moore Land Investments. Once the sewer extension contract is approved, the Frankfort Sewer Department will send a letter to the KDOW for final approval from the state. Item number 6 is the memorandum of agreement with the Frankfort Independent Schools sports for baseball, softball, tennis, and golf teams. The purpose of this agenda item is to seek Board of Commissioners approval for the Parks Department to renew the memorandum of understanding with Frankfort Independent Schools for field and facility use for baseball, softball, golf, and tennis, and approval for the mayor to sign any related documents. Frankfort Parks, Recreation, and Historic Sites has a long history of partnering with local educational and nonprofit youth athletic organizations to provide athletic facilities to these organizations that do not have athletic facilities of their own or adequate space. Frankfort Independent Schools does not have athletic facilities for these sports and are continuing to request the use of our Parks Department facilities. The Parks Department has been in contact and negotiations with FIS, and they agree with the attached MOA for use of the fields and facilities. FIS will use the Fig and Fannin fields at Capitol View Park, a softball field at Lakeview Park, and Juniper Hill Golf Course for the school's golf program. Also, the MOA is allowing parks access to the Panther Athletic Complex tennis courts for the use of the courts for park programming and community play. The scheduling is coordinated with FIS by the Parks Department and does not interfere. It should be noted that FIS gets first priority on the tennis courts. With the approval of the MOA, the Parks Department will work with FIS to provide the fields and facilities and provide services and assistance in accordance with the MOA. The Parks Advisory Board has reviewed and approved this MOA, and we request that you approve the MOA and ask the mayor to sign any related documents.
I have a question, a point of information, if possible. Madam City Manager, do you know if the county has been has been asked about the continued use of Lakeview Park?
I do not, but I will be happy to find out.
That is, I think the answer to that is
Critical.
likely not, because they are planning. I believe they're planning on starting their improvements to the park coming up soon, and I would
Okay.
hate to make a promise to Frankfort Independent. I'm totally in favor of passing this. I don't
Right.
want to make a promise to them that we don't have any control over, if possible.
Okay.
Since we're on the consent calendar, we do need to either remove this or get some confirmation, because as written, and I can take a look at the MOA, I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared.
Does anybody want to put this on discussion?
I would like to put it on discussion
Put it on
first, and
discussion.
then we may have to table it until we get
Okay.
further. Is that okay?
What, I don't
So
know,
let's-
why do we need to put it on discussion? Why did we need to wait for the county?
Well, because the county owns it, and they give us permission to use it, and I don't believe the county has been approached about the use of this for next year.
For next
Just
year.
that one portion of it.
Right,
The
right,
softball
that's correct.
field.
That one softball.
If we
Okay.
could just move this to discussion
let's do
and
that.
give me a moment, I'm sorry, guys. This is
Any
the first
objection to
time
that?
Hearing of this.
Moving it to
concern.
discussion?
It's fine.
Anybody?
Sorry, didn't mean to throw a monkey wrench in.
No. No.
We'll find
move
out.
that out. Let's take that, okay. All those in favor say aye. To move this to discussion?
Aye.
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 No, we'll take that out. Actually, consent calendar number 6.
And we'll work to get some clarification from Sean Pickens on that. Consent calendar item number 7 is the memorandum of agreement for the Mayor Avenue Playground. This agenda item is for approval of the Parks Department to enter into a MOA with Frankfort Independent Schools for the management and maintenance of the Mayor Avenue Playground off Home Street, and approve the mayor to sign any related documents. Frankfort Parks, Recreation, and Historic Sites, the Home Street Neighborhood Association, and Frankfort Independent Schools went into an agreement in 2014 and 2015 to build a small park off Mayor Avenue on the FIS property. The property located at 205 Mayor Avenue was home to former athletic fields for the school system. The original plan was to put a 2 to 12-year-old playground there, a 2 to 5-year-old smaller playground, and a small picnic shelter. The Board of Commissioners approved funding for the 2 to 12-year-old playground, and it was installed in 2015 by the Parks Department. Shortly after that, the Home Street Neighborhood Association became defunct, and they were to provide funding assistance for the rest of the project, which never materialized. Since 2015, the Parks Department has been maintaining the playground, and no new additions have been made. Since 2015, the city has had an agreement with FIS for the Parks Department to maintain the playground itself and to mow and trim the grass in the area. The agreement was included in an overall larger MOA with FIS for athletics and other parks. After review by the city and Frankfort Independent Schools, we have determined that it is best to remove the playground section of the larger MOA and have a standalone MOA for this function. Some changes and additions were made, mostly to the liability information. The city will cover the playground in its insurance policy and cover liability for use. With the approval of the MOA, the Parks Department will work with FIS to continue to provide this playground for the Home Street area. Staff recommends approval of the MOA and for the mayor to sign any related documents. Item number 8 is uniform bid acceptance for the fire department. It is recommended, the purpose of the memo is to recommend that the Board of Commissioners approve a 2-year contract with the Public Safety Store for the purchase of fire department service uniforms and authorize the mayor to sign all related documents. The fire department contracts the uniform purchasing on a per-item basis. This ensures the fire department and the city receive appropriate pricing discounts while improving standardization and customer service. Each member of the fire department is authorized to spend $650 annually. Members order all daily uniform items and dress uniforms. They are ordered through an electronic account that is hosted and maintained by the contracted company. An invitation to bid was recently posted, and the Public Safety Store was the lowest bid on 33 of the 70 items. The other two bidders split the remaining 37 items. Siegel's uniform was the lowest bid on 16 of the 70 items, and Gall's was the lowest bidder on 21 of the 70 items. Bid number 22222304142 was published in accordance with current practices by the Finance Department and received 3 qualified bids that met bid specifications. The uniform bid consisted of 70 items, some of which had multiple options and ranged from daily service uniforms to Class A dress uniforms. After careful review of price, customer service, and availability, it is the city's recommendation that we award a 2-year uniform contract to the Public Safety Store. There will be no budget impact for this contract. All sworn personnel receive their $750 uniform allowance annually that is budgeted for each fiscal year. Staff recommends the Board of Commissioners approve a 2-year contract with the Public Safety Store for the purchase of fire department service uniforms and authorize the mayor to sign all related documents. Consent item number 9, Transit Center Parking Garage Project, conveying driveway easement property from New Frankfort Development to the City of Frankfort. When New Frankfort Development agreed to donate to the City of Frankfort the necessary property to construct the transit center, they also designated an adjacent portion of Parcel B as an easement that would allow the driveway between the project and Miro Street to be constructed. The donated project property and the easement were defined in a revised Parcel B plat that was approved by the Board of Commissioners. As the design for the transit center has progressed, it has become apparent that the driveway easement must be designated as a public right-of-way. The reason for this being that the donated project property is owned by the city and the driveway easement property is owned by New Frankfort Development, which means that state fire codes would require a fire protection wall that would essentially close off the aforementioned driveway. In order to eliminate the requirement for a fire protection wall between 2 different property owners, the city approached New Frankfort Development to determine their interest in conveying the access driveway easement property to the city. This would allow the city to designate the access driveway as public right-of-way. New Frankfort Development agreed. A warranty deed to convey the driveway easement from New Frankfort Development to the city is attached. The city attorney has reviewed the warranty deed. Staff requests the Board of Commissioners approve this warranty deed at the June 26th meeting today. This deed will not be recorded until a revised Parcel B plat reflecting these changes is approved. The next item is the quit claim deed conveying property on Browns Ferry Road to the City of Frankfort. And the request is to receive and approve this. Number 11 is the annual lease renewal agreement for Ann Street and Olive
Penny,
Street. I'm sorry.
And everyone, I'm just getting some information on this one, and I'm
On the
now
quick
violating
claim?
the Ann and Olive.
Ann and Olive, okay.
And I'm violating our own rules and asking that this be moved to action items as well.
Action item?
Yes, please. And also that it be discussed after executive session.
10 and 11?
In executive
Just
session?
11.
In and after executive
Okay.
session.
So any objection to move action, well, consent calendar number 11 to action item?
Just 11?
Just 11.
Okay.
And it is,
That's-
it still fits within the executive session.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, City Solicitor.
Item number 12 is personnel actions. The resignation of Rebecca Long from the Sewer Department effective 6/15/23 as administrative aide and authorized payout of accrued leave. The resignation of Samuel Hillard from Fire and EMS as of 6/14/23, the position as Fire Sergeant, and authorized payout of accrued leave. The resignation of James Ball, Fire and EMS, as of 5/26/23 for the position of firefighter. The transfer of Jay Stratton from Public Works and Solid Waste effective 6/6/23, Public Works Technologist, Solid Waste, and a transfer to Transit Driver. The resignation of Josh Burnett from Public Works and Solid Waste, effective 5/18/2023, for Public Works Tech Solid Waste. The appointment of Brianna Monroe to the E911 Department as of 6/6/2023 in the position of Telecommunicator 1. The appointment of Jonathan Wright, Public Works Solid Waste, the effective date of 6/2023 in the position of Public Works Tech Solid Waste. The appointment of Sam Collins, Public Works Solid Waste, as of 6/27/23, Public Works Tech Solid Waste. And the appointment of Gavin Austin, Public Works Solid Waste, 6/27/23, Public Works Tech Solid Waste.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve the consent calendar. Any discussion? And that's approving the consent calendar without number 11 and number 6, correct? All right.
Correct.
All right. All right, ask the clerk to call for the vote.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Commissioner Unger,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldridge.
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Mayor Wilkerson.
Yes, and that carries, and the consent calendar is adopted. And next, we'll move to boards. We have number 1, Human Rights Commission, the appointment of John T. Opsata, who is filling a vacant term, and that expires December 1st, 2023.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, a motion, Commissioner Walters, second. I heard Commissioner May. Any discussion on this appointment? If none, I'll ask the clerk to call for the vote.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Commissioner Unger,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldridge.
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Mayor Wilkerson.
Yes, and next is the Housing Authority of Frankfort. We have appointment of Lawrence Martin Perry to fill a vacant term, and that expires January 29th, 2027.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Walters, second, Commissioner Unger. Any discussion on this appointment? Yes, Commissioner Unger.
I would just like to thank Mr. Perry. We had a great conversation about housing in Frankfort and Franklin County, and so I'm happy to vote yes to have you serve on the board. So thank you so much.
Any other discussion? If none, I'll ask the clerk to call for a vote.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Commissioner Unger,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldridge.
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Mayor Wilkerson.
Yes, and congratulations, Marty Perry, you're on the board, and that carries.
Thank you.
Action items now. We'll just start with the discussion of the MOA. How's that? We move that to the front
That's fine.
of which was number 6, memorandum of agreement for FIS Sports.
I'll just excuse myself and go check with Sean Pickens.
Thank you.
That's all right.
Yeah. So,
Come in here.
well, we could go in and, how about we start with the second reading, and then we'll come back to that.
Sure.
So when we have more
There's
information.
Sean. There's Sean.
Oh,
There's
here it is.
Sean. Well, go ahead. Let's just do these.
All right, second reading. We have a
This must
second
be
reading.
easy.
How about our city solicitor? Can you help us out?
An ordinance appropriating the revenue to be received by the City of Frankfort for fiscal year 2023-2024. This ordinance appropriates revenue to be received by the City of Frankfort for fiscal year 23-24 in accordance with the budget submitted and hereby approved.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion Commissioner May, and second Commissioner Walters. Any discussion on this? Seeing none or hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to call for a vote.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Commissioner Unger,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldridge.
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Mayor Wilkerson.
Yes, and that is adopted.
Okay.
And another second reading.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 9, 2022 series, appropriating the revenue to be received by the City of Frankfort for the fiscal year 2022-2023. This ordinance amends ordinance number 9, 2022 series, appropriating the revenue to be received by the city for fiscal year 22-23 by adding the following expenditures and transfers as noted. General Fund, $1,150,649. Transfers from General Fund, $52,420 to capital improvements. Capital improvements, $98,753. And by adding the following revenue and transfers as noted above. General Fund, $2,925,000. Capital improvements, $60,910, all of which are aggregate totals.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion Commissioner May, second Commissioner Walters. Any discussion on this second reading? If none, I'll ask the clerk to call for a vote.
Okay. Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Commissioner Unger,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Mayor Wilkerson.
Yes, and that is adopted. And now, do we have a discussion of the MOA? Are we ready to
We're
talk about
waiting
that?
for that information.
Okay.
We'll have that shortly.
Okay, let's go to what was on the agenda as number 3, action item, discussion, the process and procedures for hiring a city manager. Is this something we need to?
Maybe, Mayor, may I move to table that discussion at this time? As in old business, we're gonna be discussing the potential change of government structure.
We have so you're making a motion to table this, the discussion of the process, and do we have a second to table this?
It's called a clause, an HR clause,
When was the HR clause?
that goes in the hiring. Sorry.
I mean, if somebody wants to second, we can have a discussion about it.
No second yet, no second yet. But we still have, it's,
Motion failed.
well, we have it on, yeah, we have this under action items, and I don't know if this is something we're gonna take action on. I mean, we just.
I don't think that it's something we're
Right.
taking action on. I think
Right.
it's a discussion that we need to have,
Yeah,
so it can
right.
be pulled out to
Yeah.
maybe be brought into unfinished business for it to be a discussion if you'd like, Mayor, because there really isn't something we need to approve right now.
Well, we can, since we're here right now, we can talk about it, since we're almost in unfinished business.
Okay.
We're ready, well, let's just move on to unfinished business.
There we
Since we're
go.
Right
There
there,
we
since
go.
it's the
That's
next
it.
thing, we're in unfinished business now, how about that? So, discussion of the process and procedures for hiring a city manager. Do we have, is Kathy Fields here to help us with the timeline, or is there, we wanna set a deadline on when we advertise for the position? We wanna set that framework?
Mayor, if in old business or other business, we are going to discuss placing a resolution on an agenda as required by statute, if we are going to have a referendum vote, has to be placed on in August, by August 8th of this year. We could set any parameters we want at this point, but if that gets put on the ballot as a referendum, I don't see the point in moving forward with hiring a city manager that is not gonna that may not have that position in a year if the form of government changes. So I mean, I think we are well covered over the next few months, and if it fails in November, then we can immediately set an agenda item to handle it at that point. But I think if we do this right now, then we're setting ourselves up to not be able to address that. But this is me.
Is there any other discussion on this? Any other thoughts? Commissioner Walton?
Well, I would have to disagree with Commissioner Thompson, only because, you're saying a couple of months, but technically, in order for that to even be elected in, that's gonna be into the next year, possibly, if it doesn't get on the November, it could be. And I just don't think we need to be sitting stagnant without looking for a city manager. Just because if we do change government, that does not mean that we're not gonna use a city manager. It can be changed, and all that is an HR clause to say, you will be city manager, and if our government then changes, then your title would go to this and still use that person.
You're right. I
And
agree.
to me, that's my opinion, and I think that we need to go over the process and know what our timeline is and continue to move forward, and not sort of sitting stagnant with code, because these codes need to get back to their full-time job and doing what we need them to do. So I think we do need to be diligent in keeping this moving in the right direction so we can get a city manager. We're not sure right now if it's going to pass. It's something that I think several of us are definitely interested in. But I think we do need to continue moving forward and going through this process, looking at the city manager position and job description, changing some things in there and what we want that to be and what we want that to fulfill, even if they're going to be city manager or not, and then just add a clause that that person will be safe, whether they'll move over into economic development and strategic initiatives or whatever that looks like, that that person will still be vied for if not chosen by the board and the mayor, if it is a mayor form of government, to be an appointed position, that they would still be safe. And I think that we need to at least put out some fillers on that, because either way, if we do go to a mayor form of government, we will be hiring other people underneath of that form of government as well. And it would be great to be able to have someone working up until that moment.
I agree with much of what you said, Commissioner. However, if we put out there that we are looking to hire a city manager being paid X amount of dollars, which, you know, $150,000 plus benefits and things of that nature, and we go to a strong mayor form of government and it passes, then I worry about the quality of individuals that will apply for that position, knowing that they may move, whether you want to call it moving down a position or what have you, that we would lose the quality of the individuals that would potentially vie for that or submit applications for that position. I don't have a problem with the idea that we are going to have probably a city administrator type, you know, person. I understand that, but that, you know, changing the form of government, what I don't want to do is send a mixed signal to the individuals of the community that if this board is fully behind the idea of changing the form of government and we are pushing towards that, none of us are running for election this year. That would be what we are running on, and if we are able to have that passed, then and if we think that's what's best for the community, then I don't want to send mixed messages that we're, you know, setting up a fallback if the city doesn't vote for this as well, and it could be very confusing. And so that's my only reasoning behind it. Those two reasons behind it.
Any other discussion on this? I think, well, I hear what's been said about I'll step in if that's all right. No, I hear Commissioner Thompson about the quality of the applicants, if they know that we're considering a mayor council form of government. But I think we'd have to see what actually happens. I think the vote could also fail if we decide to put it on the ballot in November. So I think we may be pleasantly surprised. There might be some good candidates that do come, and maybe they have experience in working through that transition. And maybe so I think it's worth us going ahead and moving forward and seeing what our options are with city manager, for the full-time city manager, and if the quality of applicants aren't there, we're going to know that right away.
And I think we can add it to our job description. I mean, just to say that, just a little clause that says, we are entertaining this as you're applying for this position. This position may change a bit if we do change governments, and that's just a couple of HR clauses that you can put in for them to be forewarned, right?
Yes.
Looks like Attorney Ross wanted to say something down there.
Our HR director. Yes, City Solicitor, do you have anything to add?
Well, I do. Just want to
approaches.
Yes, there are ways to definitely structure things so that the individuals who are applying would have the information they need and to put some sort of provisions into their contracts. But I want to be clear that we can't guarantee them anything, because that would be up to the new mayor.
Right.
So, what would you like to add on this, or can you add?
No, Belle said that was one of the points I was thinking as well. And any full-time position that the city offers does have to be a job title that exists in our ordinance. So the job titles that I'm hearing do not currently exist. So it wouldn't be quite as, not to say it can't be done, but it's not quite as simple as a clause. There has to be a change to our
Right.
ordinance to create that position.
And that would be a change that would not occur until we actually change the form of government and are looking for a chief administrative officer. That is one of the multitude of structural changes that would have to be
But
made.
that would also fall into what our conversation was last time when we were trying to look for co-city managers
Yes.
on how we were going to move over and mysteriously had an economic development, strategic, whatever position. So that could be a same position that we could actually look at in moving that particular person over. So there is actually a position that was brought to the table for us to use for the co-city managers. So I would feel that that position would still be there and be able to use for that person as well if we needed to tweak some things.
Yes, that position
Yes.
does exist in ordinance.
That is
The
correct.
chief administrative officer one doesn't at this
Correct.
time, but the board can direct to add that
Right.
to ordinance. So I just
So-
wanted to make the board aware.
And what,
Yeah,
what,
sure.
what timeline should we be looking at? Or would you recommend, in your professional opinion, to start to, how long should we put the
I would be
Listing out
interested
there.
in knowing if the board has any adjustments they'd like to make to the job description as it is. I can share that immediately because it exists. And I guess in terms of getting feedback from the board, I can post it quickly. We can post it to KOC, ICMA, on our website. We can post it on, I mean, those are really professional sites that I think would target that kind of client, but then we can go more general with ZipRecruiter and Indeed and things like that as well. So there's not really much that delays us other than ensuring that the board is satisfied with the job description as it last existed. And it would have been last reviewed and edited when we filled it. So
we would need to
it's
vote
been
on a new
recently
job
reviewed.
description?
If you wanted a new job description, yes. That would have to be a vote.
And I think that we do need to look at the jobs description, and I think that that's because we have so much in front of us. The idea of having an assistant city manager, if we stay in a city manager ran government versus a mayor, I think we need to look in that because we don't know what the community is going to vote as far as a mayor form of government, and we've not had our public meeting with that quite yet. So I think that we need to look at that because if moving forward, if it does behoove the city to have a city manager and assistant city manager, then we need to make sure that we're doing that now so no one's signing up for 13 reports and then feeling like they're overwhelmed with 13 reports and then trying to separate that position into two. So we need to do that for the people coming in so they know what their job is,
So
if that makes sense.
I can send the existing job description distributed to all the BOC members. I can do that this evening. Typically, we'll post for a month, so we can post for a month. We have had different approaches where the board has done multi-round interviews. That typically has always happened. Then there's been some other elements that have happened which have been varied a little bit. We've done tours of the city with candidates. We have done community panels with candidates. So sometimes candidates would go through as many as 4 different interviews,
Right.
multiple interviews with the board, and then department heads and community panels. So that's really up to you all to direct what shape you see this taking, because it has varied a bit. What I would say has been the most consistent is multi-round interviews with the board.
Okay, so we need to vote on the job description first, then we'll decide on the timeline. If we're looking at the July work session, unless we have a special meeting. Does that sound okay with everyone so far? That's the next step.
Yeah. But I think, and also putting this out, Mayor, that we need to leave it open until it's filled. So that way we can keep this rolling. If 3 people have put in their names and they pretty much impress the board, we can go ahead and move on with interviewing them and seeing if we want, instead of waiting 2 whole months and then getting everyone together and sort of ciphering through. Once they start coming in, we just need to be proactive in that and start looking at that and saying, hey, these 3 may be pretty good. Let's go ahead and maybe interview these, and people can still come in if we feel that we've gotten what we want. So I guess maybe the best day to apply by needs to be a shorter than the always opening, so they can hurry up and turn in their resumes and we can start interviewing, so we're not waiting months for that.
Yeah, I think Breezing can accommodate that request. It does become hard at some point when you've got community panel involved, and
Yeah.
that's a step, and department heads. The coordination of all of that with somebody that's really not meeting timing does
Yeah.
become difficult to accommodate. But I think your suggestion of please respond by,
Yeah.
however, the posting will remain open until filled.
Correct. That'll make people want to rush to get it in and not wait till the last minute.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. And since we're in that area, unfinished business, the resolution for mayor council, do you want to put that on the work session?
I'd like to put it on the work session if we could. And actually, I'd like to put it on as an action item if we could, if we come to an agreement at that point. The reason being is because we have to have that tendered to the Franklin County Clerk, Jeff Hancock's office, by August the 8th, according to the statute. As such, I would ask that we have the opportunity to have the discussion, also be able to tender it, and if we need to make any edits based upon the clerk's own information he can provide to us and guidance, then we can do that in the second July meeting if we need to, or even have a special meeting before the August 8th meeting.
Any other, okay, we're in unfinished business now. We need to backtrack a little bit. Go back to action.
I just wanted to
Go ahead.
clarify, in this coming out in for the August meeting, do we have a public meeting before that, or do we have a public meeting after we write the resolution, then have a public meeting so people are aware moving forward before the election? Or are we going to include the community on what that looks like? Because a mayor form of government can be many things, whether that's chief executive officer, admin, officer appointed positions, districts. Like, what does that look like? So it is a lot that we do need to compile that may be in there, and I don't want that just be thrown together. So where does that discussion come for us to understand where we want to go and how the community would like it to be done? Because then that would maybe change us into districts rather than city commissioners for the whole city, and what that structure looks like. So I don't know if we're going to do that before or if we're going to do that after a resolution, but I would think that it would become before we took a step to say yes. I would assume.
I think a lot of that will be in the meeting that we discussed this,
Mhm.
and what we would do is vote on the resolution to put it on the ballot, and then my thinking is we would not, we're going to educate the public as much because we're going to be educated as well, but we're not taking a side on this. We're not trying to
Right.
influence people one way or the other. The public would have to educate themselves too, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of special, the public interest groups that
Correct.
will take sides on this and do a lot of the education for us. That's Commissioner Unger.
And I was going to mention that I know someone from Together Frankfort mentioned a possible forum on this. So, I mean, that's one way the community can get engaged on it as well, other than our own meeting.
Yes.
I do, and I think that I'm getting this correct, though. I want you all to realize if you vote for the resolution and to go ahead and file, that sets it in motion. So even if we do have public meetings that indicate this is not something that you all or the community want at this time, we've still set it in motion. I just want to
It
clarify.
still look like that's what we wanted,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it could be
Yeah.
could be a negative.
Yes.
So you all do, to clarify, you do want to bring the resolution forth for
That's on the work session.
action on the work session? Okay, just to make sure I have it. Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
The districts, are we going to have a discussion on districts as well, and whether or not
So,
we're considering that?
So I just noticed that the statute has literally just changed.
Yes.
Like tomorrow.
Yes.
It changes tomorrow. Goes into effect tomorrow at least. And if we decide, I was under the impression that what the best thing to do is to get through the, whether we change governments and then decide in the next election. But if we decide to do this, the Wednesday following the election, we have to vote by that next Wednesday if we're going to go into wards and districts, however you want to call it, and whether it's strictly wards or if it's a hybrid of wards and at large. So that has to be done within essentially a week, I think, of when the vote actually occurs. And if it passes, then at that point we still have to pass another resolution 240 days prior to the 2024 election, which would then put everybody in place within that 2-year period.
Right.
So, I wasn't going to, but I think now the way the law has been changed, I think we have to. And so I don't know, Mayor, is that a problem to?
Right now, sitting here, I'd say no, but let's, I need to think about that. And what we need to, let's, it's tentative for the work session. How about that?
Mhm.
Thank
If
you.
we need a special meeting, we can have a special.
Yeah.
Definitely the
Okay.
change in form, maybe the rules.
Okay, that's unfinished business. Is there any other unfinished business before we? We're gonna go back in town here to the action item, that, are we gonna table this, action item about the MOA, or do we have enough?
Some information for you.
Okay, Sean, are you, yeah, you're here. This is the memorandum of agreement for Frankfort Independent School Sports.
Yeah, I didn't hear all of the conversation. I was on the phone. I spoke with Charlie Lewis, the park director for the county. He said that there is potential for construction and renovation of Lakeview softball complex this fall or winter, but no set deadlines or no set plan is in place now. They're in conversations with developers and the contractors and looking at prices and things like that. So there's no, I guess there's no real, like I said, there's no timeline or no plan right now of exactly when. He foresees that our fall programs will be okay, which is our softball leagues, but then spring may be an issue, may or may not. So, and the interlocal agreement is due for renewal in March of '24, so
Okay.
March of next year.
Okay.
Okay. So if they decide not to renew that, if the county decides not to renew that, how does that affect our agreement here?
We essentially wouldn't have anywhere to play youth softball. We would have to do some overhauls or makeshifts to our current fields at Capitol View, which wouldn't be easy. Not saying it wouldn't be undoable, but it would be a challenge.
Nice.
Sean, would it be possible, is there a great reason why we couldn't delay this until the work session?
I don't see
I've
any-
noticed a couple little things too. I think we could maybe take a look at this and maybe get something a little more clear in place.
I think we could probably get a work around too with the county. We just need to have that conversation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Motion to table till the work session.
Thank you,
July.
Commissioner Water. Table this until July work session.
Yes, please.
Second, Commissioner May. All those in favor? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll table that. Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Okay, any new business?
What's that, number 11?
Let's see.
I thought we,
I think we're gonna do
Okay.
that in executive session first, right?
oh, okay, that's the one. we have
If
to
it's
do.
within the exemption regarding the downtown master plan.
I have a new business.
Okay, Commissioner Wallace.
So I know that I've been sort of representing the board in regards to like KSU items, homecoming items, swim with purpose, and the whole EXIM. And I just wanted to bring to the attention that I would still like to continue to do KSU events, and I would just like your support in myself and Blair having some conversations in regards to activities coming up for KSU's homecoming and for things downtown. And then once we come to some decisions on what we could do or assist with KSU homecoming, that we'll bring those back to the commission for you guys to know what we're doing in regards to our town gown initiative. So I just wanted to bring to your attention that I'm hoping to have a meeting with Blair and some folks at KSU in regards to homecoming. So just giving you an update, and then I'll bring more updates when I come. So.
Commissioner Thompson?
I would like to also. Well, I totally lost what I was going to say because I was coughing my head off and listening to Katricia. I apologize. It's in. No, it was not. It's in,
New business?
yeah, it was new business.
Good.
It was something that Mayor, you and I had talked about, and that's what reminded me of it. And I'm trying to find our.
Well, I can add on to mine. So I did meet with the president of the university on Friday, and we had a great conversation in regards to some of his ideas. I think we're in good hands with this president. I look forward to us moving forward. He is also very well supportive of the YMCA city, county, and state initiative with the YMCA that he is going to be with the Exum Center, that he is going to look for someone on his staff to be that point of contact for him to stay in touch with us and to attend the meetings to continue moving the possibility of renovating the Exum pool moving forward. So he is super excited about it, and he has made the statement that he is one to get things done. And so I appreciate that statement and moving forward. So super excited about that and for us to have a good relationship with the new president and the university moving forward, so.
Commissioner Thompson to come to, does anybody else have new business? Not, we could go into.
Did you remember?
I did. There were a couple
Okay.
things.
Okay.
Can we, I know that we had the two discussions these last 2 weeks about the flock cameras. I'd like for those to be on the discussion meeting, not for action, but to discuss our plan for that. Also, I'd like to discuss the usage of the stage. I know that sounds silly, but I've had a lot of questions about the stage, and I'd like to have some information that someone can provide to me on usage and what it requires and what we need to do to be able to let people have that.
And Blair has a process for it.
Does she?
There's a process for it through
Good.
Blair for events. And then if they choose not to use the stage, then they just use their own. And I think with this downtown Frankfort, I think several people was wanting the stage to come back on the lawn to be more welcoming versus the stage pointing away from the old Capitol, I think. So I think there was some discussion there as well.
Okay. I just know that in the last couple of years there have been requests for the stage. And
Correct.
we have not been able
We
to.
changed that policy.
Good. That's good. And I didn't know if we needed to worry about people who were certified through OSHA to be able to move those items, and if we need to have a contract with somebody to be able to provide that, we need to.
Yeah,
Have
definitely.
that ready.
We can put it on the work session.
Yep.
That's a good work session thing to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It's our stage, so everyone will know.
Mhm.
Any other new business? If not,
What else is there? I thought there was something else. There will be, on July 6th, we will be having a pool party at Juniper Hills, which is Swim with Purpose, so we can raise more funds for the Exum renovation of the pool. So if anyone wants to come out and donate, we have a lot of good things. We met with, we have it's a couple of giveaways. I think it's an 85-inch outdoor TV we're going to be giving away. If you make a donation, you'll be put in for a drawing there. And we also got with Michael Phelps' team, and he is supporting this initiative, and he is sending a swim cap that he has signed that will also be, you make a donation, you'll get a ticket for a chance to win his signed swim caps. I'm super excited. I think we've raised about $176,000 so far. So just keep moving forward. So July 6th, come out and support and donate money to help out with Exum.
any new business in front of the board? If not,
Mayor, I move we go to executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810 subsection 1B, property deliberations on the future acquisition of real property related to the implementation of the downtown master plan, where publicity would be likely to affect the value, as well as KRS 61.8101C, litigation discussions on proposed litigation on behalf of the city related to the local restaurant tax, and KRS 61.811F, personnel, discussion of an employee's request for a hearing. Action may be taken in open session.
Motion to
motion, second. All those in favor go into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we're now in executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Have a great week.
All right, we're adjourned.